Welcome back. Let's get to that very conversation for the day that has to do with what is playing out in Rivers State. For and against the state of emergency and the suspension of constitutionally elected officials. Because it's a democracy. Some people are for it, some people are against it, based on their perspective. Bukola.
Yes, and joining us for this conversation, we have Mr. Uche Ken, who is a former vice chairman, Eche local government area in Rivers State, former PDP women leader, Eche local government, and DG Wikematic Women of Rivers State. She joins us virtually from Port Harcourt. And of course, we also have Chisom Bali, former Commissioner for Youth Development, Rivers State, who also joins us virtually from Port Harcourt, the capital of Rivers State. Good morning, gentlemen and lady. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So I'm going to start with Madam Ken. Just confirm that you can hear me.
I am not hearing from here.
Okay. So we'll go to Mr. Bali and hope that Madam Ken can hear us in the course of the conversation. So I'm coming to you now. We've had this conversation with our correspondent and he's giving us an overview. But let's, catch that sentiment about what's playing out in Rivers State from a Rivers citizen or indigenous, as the case may be. Tell us how you're, perceiving all of these.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. I'm here to clear the air on certain issues on the gross impunity going on in Rivers State as we speak. Now we at the point when the pronouncement by His Excellency the President of the Federal Republic was made on the state of emergency, we were shot in the dark. Some people saw it with mixed feelings. And we were like, okay, let us absorb, since we're having an external person that will come in to wade into the subsisting political crisis. Mind you.
Do we have Madam Ken around now? Can you hear me? Confirm that you can hear me. All right, we'll try to get both men back. But while we're doing that, Mr. Chisom, you may want to unmute your microphone, but we sense that there's an echo as you speak, and we hope that that can be taken care of, but perhaps after you have unmuted. So while we get that addressed, it'll be important to understand particularly the logic of those who are protesting in favor of the state of emergency in Rivers State now, and in fact calling, for the extension for as long as possible, according to the reports that we're getting from Rivers State. How is that going to resolve the issues in Rivers State? And I heard nothing about that clause provided in the approval of the state of emergency by the National Assembly, which is to the effect that there should be a committee constituted to resolve the lingering crisis in Rivers. We'd like to know if, as much as those protesting in favor of the state of emergency in Rivers are saying that it should continue for as long, are they also concerned about the work of this committee and efforts to resolve peace? Because that's also critical, to that part of the conversation. I understand that Mr. Bali is back now with us. Mr. Bali, please go ahead and complete your thoughts.
Okay, like I was saying, the people of Rivers State, like has always been peaceful, maintained that disposition over time. But what we had was political crisis, which we, in our assessment, were like when the president made the pronouncement that a third party, who is a neutral person, will come in, wade into the matter and resolve it. But to our dismay, what we are seeing now is brazen impunity. Instead of the sole administrator to perhaps muster both parties, the warring factions, according to the third recommendation of the National Assembly of a high-powered committee that will bring all the warring party to table. What they have now resorted to is to incite the group of the FCT minister to go on a reactionary protest. Recall that our people, the women of Rivers State, under the aegis of Rivers Women Unite for Sin, they protested that they want their governor, the person they voted for, their shining light back to government house. And then all of a sudden, 2 days later, they had their own reactionary protests. And that is what panned out following the meeting the sole administrator had with some face.
Oh dear. We seem to have lost audio again through to Mr. Bali.
The activities of youth in the state. So I know the youth bodies that are. Okay, in conclusion, what I'm saying is that the sole administrator, instead of doing what he was called to, is now sponsoring protests, giving money to faceless youth leaders to come and escalate issues, to cause problems so that they can eventually get what they are looking for. And we are refusing to join issues with them.
But Mr. Bali, do you have evidence to prove that indeed it's the sole administrator that is sponsoring protests and using youths to cause unrest?
Yes, it's obvious. It's audible to the deaf and conspicuous to the blind. The other day, some faceless youth bodies, like I said, went to government house. They are not registered. They are not known to law. And the administrator doled out 10 million to each group. And then the next day after that, what you saw was a protest. And then again, the local government that they have been, that's the cross of the whole, this who holds the structure at the local government level. They've succeeded in breaking into illegality upon illegality, breaking into the council. Now they have sole administrators at the local government who is now sponsoring and bankrolling their activities. So we have evidence proof to that effect.
But that's inadequate to prove that it's the sole administrator that is responsible, for the economy of protests, because you cannot present any concrete evidence to that effect. And besides, we don't have a representative of the sole administrator, to disprove the allegations that you have made. So we're going to leave that in the realm of allegations. Let's come to Madam Ken now. I hope she's with us now and she can hear me loud and clear so that we can have a meaningful conversation. So, Madam Ken, Mr. Bali has said quite a lot of things about what is happening. I hope you were following. He also said that the protests by the women in white, which I believe you're a part of, were reactionary to protests from last week by women in Rivers who are calling for the return of the democratically elected government in Rivers State. I'd like you to respond to this. All right, we'll try to get Madam Ken back. Well, Mr. Bali, let's continue with the conversation now while we try to get Madam Ken back. What can you say about efforts to resolve this before it got to this stage? Do you think that particularly the elders of Rivers State exhausted all of the interventions at their disposal before a declaration of the state of emergency?
Well, as a disaster risk analyst, there's what we call disaster risk.
I am back.
Is have a situation that overwhelms the community and will call for external intervention. That is what we are seeing now. So what we expected is that an external body, committee, or whatever will bring the warring faction to the table. We have constitutional outlines on the governor's responsibility, the House of Assembly, and all that. But somebody needs to intervene. We thought that was one of the basic things that the administrator would have, started doing. But let me also address one particular matter I stated earlier. Our governor, His Excellency Sasimina Laifobara, our lodestar, our compass and direction, had a plan. And this plan is almost on autopilot before this eventual obstruction. Now, the governor saves money in quarterly basis and then uses it to pay backlog of projects. As you know, even the sole administrator alluded to it, that the governor had paid for all the ongoing projects. So the next phase of money is to start another project that we're about to flag off, especially during the second tenure in office. And now those funds are there. And those are the funds that are cutting away. Also, you also know that there's no subsistence appropriation law. There's no budget in Rivers State. So how are they using the money? Why are they using the money? They are looking for where to tie the funds down. They are cutting away funds every day. They also gave the outline that the governor left over 200 and something billion naira. Because he's a prudent man, he tries to muster a fund and then use it for a certain project. And now that is what we're seeing in Rivers State. They're using it now anyhow they like, especially the illegal local government that have gone to form the other day.
All right, Mr. Gale, you know, it's an ongoing conversation. Rivers, every other day there's something to talk about Rivers. It's almost exhausting and nauseating in sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's about looking for a way out of this. I'm just looking at the date. I think by Friday or Saturday, about those days, it's going to be exactly 1 month after the sole administrator took over. I mean, when the state of emergency was declared, I mean to say. And one of the things that was gazetted and was amended by the, is it amended now, but part of the items that was listed by the National Assembly in approving this state of emergency is to, you know, form a committee that will bring peace or find a way to peace or a path to peace. It's almost a month. We haven't heard of anything. All we've heard, I guess, is the ad hoc committee to oversight Rivers State, I think from the House of Reps or so. So in your view, if you were to speak to the president, because we're looking for a way out here, he's declared a state of emergency. He has the powers to, you know, change his mind based on a few things. We know there's also the issue of constitutionality or constitutionality of the suspension of elected officials at the Supreme Court. Are you seeing anything from where you sit as an insider that there is any committee being set up and what can be done? So in your view,
exactly what I'm saying. We've not seen any committee whatsoever. Now you have the record. It's up to 1 month. We have not seen anything committee. And now let me tell Nigerians, please, let's not sweep this under the carpet. A philosopher said, Napoleon Hill, he said that the world suffer a lot, not because of the violence of the bad people, but because of the silence of the good people. If Rivers State is up in the air, if there's any kind of pogrom or problem, it will escalate. Now the youth are quick to quickly deceive because they are quick to believe, and they are getting exasperated, they are getting agitated. So now we need any external influence, like a committee. The president can make the pronouncement, the National Assembly, let them do that already. Because what is happening in Rivers State, if not that we are trying to pacify our youth, the governor's disposition is a peaceful man, and that is why that pensions that they have on the governor, that's why they are still waiting and exercising patience. But patience, they say exuberance is the prerogative of youth. So patience on the part of the youth, where I control, I know them. You will even be surprised that Rivers State is still calm till now. The Rivers State used to know. It's because of the person at the helm of affairs, because of the disposition of the governor of Rivers State. That's why we're still where we are. We're still peaceful. And we'll continue to pacify them because they are trying to incite our youth, but we will not join issues with them. We want to maintain that. We are not going to join issues because we know we are together. We know the tactics of Minister of FCT. It's to incite problem. Look at the trajectory of Rivers State. Since 1999, he became from local government chairman to the minister now. Every administration has been problem because of Minister Wiki.
Well,
and all the former governors from the Majesty.
I understand that emotions are high right now, but he was only governor for 8 years. There were governors during other tenures. So I'd like us to just temper those words and speak to the issues, right? And let me just try Madam Ken yet again and confirm if you can hear us and you're able to contribute now. Okay, we'll stay with you, Mr. Gbali. Looks like Madam Ken's connection is a bit sketchy. When you accuse the other party in this sense now of mobilizing, paying, you claim that they gave 10 million naira each. How much did you pay the people that protested for you?
Like I told you earlier, I said Rivers State was on autopilot before this obstruction. The Rivers Women Unite for SIM, they used to have their meeting every week. They have their prayers every week. So they are already on that before now. So what they did was just to do a procession, all right, calling His Excellency the President to please recall our democratically elected governor and the members of the State Assembly. And to correct an impression, I was saying something that the entire former governors of Rivers State since 1999, they are all on one page. From Dr. Dili to Amechi to Umeha, and they are all on one page supporting the governor. How come it's only the Minister of FCT? What is this thing that you cannot allow? Life is a natural succession. Your time has passed. What is this thing that you sown in that government house that you cannot allow someone else to succeed? That is a question.
Well, the president declared a state of emergency. The president appointed a sole administrator, and the sole administrator is in charge. So are you saying that the FCT minister is the one directing the sole administrator? Is that what you're trying to imply?
It's clear. Okay, let me do a practicable listen. All the sole administrators, purported sole administrators appointed at the local government level, they are all cronies of the FCT minister. If you come to Obiakpo, for instance, the uncle of the sole administrator, I'm mentioning him, Dr. Underwater, is the sole administrator of Obiakpo. If you go to Ikwere, Samuel Wanosike, the former local government chairman, the penultimate local government chairman, his aide is the administrator of that local government. I can go on and mention the former director of one of the institutions, Elecha Amadi College of Polytechnic, is now the sole administrator of Pagap, that's Port Harcourt City. And those are the closest allies of the former governor. So what more can I say? It's obvious. We know that.
So you said earlier that some youths went to the government house. You alleged, rather, that they got some form of inducement. Stemming from that, how would you describe the approach of the sole administrator? You, on the other side, alongside your youths, do you have some form of access to engage with the sole administrator so that you can register some of your dissatisfaction about his approach and how he's going about the business of governance in Rivers State?
Okay, I tell you what, before the suspension, I was managing the Ministry of Youth Development, and I was in charge. I was in custody of all registered and authentic youth bodies in Rivers State. And I can tell you, none of those youth groups have been invited or have had access to the sole administrator. And the people we saw the other day, none of them is known to law. I can't remember having the record of any of them in my ministry. So those are faceless youth bodies that were invited, all to muster, all to attract support, that to tell the world that we're on ground, that there are also people on one side supporting the administrator. Those are, for me, is a gross misconduct. Those are aberrations. We have certified from National Youth Council to Niger Delta Youth Movement, all the youth bodies. I have 462 youth bodies registered in my ministry. None of them have had access. They've not even been invited. So this is the gross misconduct we are facing. This is the impunity we are facing. This is the height of high-handedness that the administrator is unleashing to Rivers people.
This by no means brings a sense of hope to, the polity in Rivers State. But we'll keep the conversation going and hope that when next we talk about this, would have made progress. We must thank you very much, Mr. Chisom Gbali, for your time on the program and your thoughts on the program. We also, by the way, invited Madam Uche Ken, but we're unable to speak with her. Mr. Gbali is a former Commissioner for Youth Development, Rivers State. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Now, from one concern to another, this time we head to Plateau State. We'll try to have a conversation on what exactly is going on there to understand it and perhaps provide some lead to security agents and the government as they go about the business of securing life and property in Plateau. Stay with us. We'll be right back.